Hello, everybody, and welcome to Disabilities Redefined with Dr. Wagner. I am Dr. Truett Wagner, and as always, I am very, very happy to be here. On this episode, you are going to meet Tamara Morgan, Elizabeth Flint, and Ketrina Hazell. All three of our guests are very smart, very accomplished, very pretty, and as you will see, very, very articulate. We actually begin the interview with a description of how I met Ketrina, or Trina as she is called, one very lucky for me, day last summer in Brooklyn. So, enjoy the interview. Trina, I met you by accident.
Yeah.
Yes, as we see up here now. Now, this is how I met Trina. I was actually going to film a show in Brooklyn. What area of Brooklyn is it, Trina?
It was by Atlantic Mall.
Yes, the mall over there. Yes. I was going to go do a show on dancing for PD, Parkinson's disease. And when I go and do field work, I go by myself. I do not take a crew. I don't take anything because I find it much easier. As you see with the show today, when we were getting ready, I like things very relaxed. I don't like a lot of fanfare around. And so I'm doing a lot of the camera work these days on my own when I go into field. So I see this cute little kid over here selling all this wonderful jewelry, and she's working so hard, and I didn't eat yet, and I'm lugging my equipment around, and I see a Snicker bar or something in there, and I'm like, okay, whatever's going on here, I want that Snicker bar. So, but we met and we started talking, and she is a student at
Kingsborough.
And what are you studying?
I'm studying liberal arts and a concentration in English.
That's great. And now, what actually were you doing that day, other than helping me get a quick lunch? Yeah.
In this picture, I was selling snacks, and those are also bracelets that I make. And I was raising funds to help children for the holidays, and also to support me in having an accessible van.
Wow. Okay. So. And do you do this a lot? Do you do it at various locations in Brooklyn?
I try to, but often in certain places they don't allow it.
Right, yes.
So when I go to like different conferences and stuff, I do a table because also I have my own advocacy group.
Yes. Called
the Voices of Power. So I made my own T-shirts and with disability logos on it. So it's also to support them as well. There's students with disabilities as well.
Okay, great. Now, what is your disability?
Cerebral palsy.
Cerebral palsy. And you are a student at Kingsborough. I used to work at Kingsborough Community College. Great campus. Now, you said that you really like Disability Awareness Month.
Yes.
Yes. What do you like so much about that month?
I like Disability Awareness Month because we get to celebrate our differences and share our stories with other people, professors, different faculty, and people that come from the outside.
Mm-hmm. Now, one thing I loved about you when I was doing my homework on you, you really do appreciate your professors.
Yes.
Yes, I'm a professor too, okay? So thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Yeah. What do you like so much about professors?
I like that most of them that I had so far was understanding to my disability. They are able to support me in different ways, and they open up their doors to me when I need their help.
Yes, that sounds like a professor to me. You know, I hear that all the time in the hallway, and you all are in school or are graduated and considering going back to school for your doctorate or master's or whatever.
Yeah.
And I hear that all the time, that people don't understand our job is to teach and help too. Mm-hmm. So I don't know, why do professors get such a bad rap? Why do we? Maybe because we make you do work. I don't know, you know, but at the end of the day, I do appreciate that, you know, and you're a very good student. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Now, you say that you want to one day be a teacher's assistant? Okay.
Yes.
But you also want to write a book.
Yes.
Now, tell us a little bit about this book you want to write.
I want to write a book about my life to share my life experience with other people so that they can become aware of people with disabilities, and they can gain more knowledge and not only be inspired by us, but get to know us more on a personal level.
Right. Yes, I think that's a very good reason to write a book. If there's any reason to write a book, it is for the reasons you just said.
And it's part two to it is also a guide on how to work with people with disabilities
Yes.
in my own way.
Yes. And coming from someone with a disability, you would have a very strong voice in that. Yeah, so that's good. Now, you also said, too, along with getting published and writing, something about a social inclusion group?
Yes, an inclusive social group.
Inclusive social group. Okay.
Yes. I would like to create an inclusive social group because I realize that agencies, they have like recreation program for people with disabilities, but they're focused on like a one-size-fits-all for people with disabilities, so we don't get to enjoy it the way we actually want to live life and have fun, laugh. If we want to go out to eat or something, to the movies, we can't do that. Like everyone, because they are focused on like the low functioning ones that aren't able to do much. So I want to create my own so that people can see that we can go out and enjoy life and have fun just like everyone else.
Absolutely. Well, can I be part of it?
Sure.
Okay, great. When are you going to start this group?
I don't know yet,
Well,
but
if you
soon.
start it tomorrow, would you give me a call?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Well, we're going to get back to you, and we are definitely going to talk about inclusion later on when we get into our discussion on media. So, but we want to go over to Miss Tamara right now. Hello
Hi.
there.
Hi.
So good to see you
Thank
again.
you. Likewise.
Yes. Now, you have a degree from Hunter College in psychology.
Yes, I do.
Yes.
Yep.
Now, and that's my alma mater. Yeah.
I didn't know that.
I have a BA and an MA from Hunter.
Beautiful. It's a
And
wonderful school.
it really is. It really, and I love the City University of New York. And I want to say to a lot of people out there, I say CUNY a lot.
Yeah.
City University of New York, and I have to catch myself. Because we're in New York, most people in New York know what CUNY is, but this show goes everywhere.
Okay.
So, and I get, sometimes every so often I'll get a little email or something or a message, what is CUNY? And it spells so weird, like Q-U, or you know what I'm saying? Yeah, Q-U-N-I-E or something like that. I'm like, no, CUNY is C-U-N-Y, and it stands for the City University of New York. So I really need to stop doing that on a show that, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
Not everyone knows what is going on. But you lived on campus at Hunter.
Yes, I did.
Now,
Yes,
was that
I
your
did.
decision?
It was totally my decision. I started Hunter in, I want to say 2003. I knew that I wanted to live away from home. And I also knew that I wanted to study psychology. I have had a dream since I'm about 5 years old to be a psychologist. And I love everything about human behavior and
Yes.
people and what makes us do and think the way that we do. And so I also know that living with my parents, there's, which I love them dearly.
Right.
But there's also moments in your life where you need to progress on to other parts of your life and other parts of development. And I felt like living on campus would help me do that. I would become much more independent. I would have to be a lot more reliant on myself versus relying on my family.
Yes. And hey, that's all par for the course of going to college,
Yeah,
right?
absolutely.
Yes. So, now, art therapy,
Yes.
while at Hunter, so you did study psychology
I
at
did.
Hunter, but now somehow, what was the art, in your background, there's a lot of art therapy sparking up
Yes,
there.
how did that happen? So I want to say it was either in like my junior year, I really just started to take a love for art and everything in art making, painting, drawing, etching, printmaking, and I thought to myself, there has to be a way that I can merge the two things that I love, talk therapy and art. And I just so happened to meet an art therapist, and I began talking to her about the work that she does. And then it just suddenly clicked that this was the field for me. I could marry the very two things that I love.
Yes.
And that's how I went on to study art therapy.
Right. Now, though, are you applying? Are you already in? Where do we stand with the doctorate at this time?
Oh, okay. So I do have very strong aspirations to be a child psychologist. I received my master's degree from NYU in art therapy in 2011. I was a practicing art therapist for about 4 years. I've now transitioned to a wonderful career.
Which we're going to talk about in a minute.
Just a moment. But I do very much have a dream to go back to school and get my doctorate in child psychology. I feel like I resonate with children very much, and I feel like there are so many challenges that can be averted or supported in childhood that will make us much stronger adults. And so that's my reason for wanting to go back into child psychology.
Yes, very good reasons. And I'm sure with everything you just said, you are very well versed in Piaget.
I have. Piaget,
Yeah.
yes, the whole gamut.
Piaget is probably clapping somewhere.
Yay. I hope I'm making you proud.
No, but now you are from New York, Brooklyn, is it?
Yes, I grew up in Williamsburg, Brooklyn.
But you lived in a hospital, then a foster home, and then you were reunited with your biological family. Give us
talk a little bit about that true thing. So when I was born, I guess perhaps I can talk about my disability. I have osteogenesis imperfecta, and that's basically brittle bone disease. So I'm 32, and since that time, I've had 59 fractures.
Yes.
And it's a very painful condition at times. I'm one of 14 children, and I'm the only person in my family with a disability. So for my parents to have 5 other children and then have the 6th child, that was very, very, very different than what they had experienced before. They were really very nervous. And the predictions of the doctors at that time were pretty grim. So it didn't seem very hopeful.
You mean grim as far as a recovery? Or
just in terms of like my life expectancy.
Okay.
And so my parents felt that I would probably be better supported with hospital care and such. And so I lived at the New York Foundling Hospital for about 5 years.
Okay.
I saw my family all the time. They could not part ways with me entirely.
Yes. Hey, who can blame them, Tamara? Come on now. Okay.
So then, after that, I went into temporary foster care for about 2 years. And I lived with another wonderful family who actually had a daughter who had osteogenesis imperfecta, but who in fact had passed away. But they had much more familiarity with the condition and how to support and take care. And then when I turned about 7, my parents felt that I was getting stronger every day. I was much more active, just zooming around in my chair. I had a manual wheelchair at the time. But they started to feel more encouraged about the prospects and having me at home. And so at 7, I returned home to my family.
Okay. So now when I said earlier that you were reunite, you had never really...
we never really parted.
Okay, yes, I do.
Parted.
It's important I do make that distinction. They were always a part of your life.
There.
Part of your life, yes. Now, the quickly just, and this is out of line, but you did hit on something. You lived for 5 years at the hospital. Okay. Now, at that time, was there obviously nurses but now did you also speak with child psychologists there?
I probably did. I think my parents always tell me this funny story that whenever someone would ask me when I was 4 or 5 years old what I wanted to be, and I would say a psychologist, and they're like, no, she doesn't. She wants to be a veterinarian.
Right.
She wants to be a lawyer. They're like, we don't really know where she got that from.
Right.
But I think it had a lot to do with my surroundings then and the people that I knew.
Right. Yeah. Just something went off that I wanted to. And then you also then went to obviously another very loving home.
I did.
To a family that had a daughter with
OI.
Yes, and then had passed away. So, and then at that time now when you were with this family, your biological family was still very much with you.
Yes, they were. I saw them every weekend.
Yes, very much with you. So that is, and you obviously had a lot of encouragement and love because you are a very confident and articulate young woman.
Oh, thank you so much.
Yes,
Thank
and that's
you.
what happens when we have good parents and good people in our lives.
Yes.
Well, now listen, you have been very successful. So now, tell us what you're doing now. Now, I'm going to say it now.
Adaptive Design Association.
Okay. Yes.
Yeah. So I work for a nonprofit called Adaptive Design Association, and we pretty much build custom adaptations for people with disabilities. And so that can be anything from a standard to help a baby walk for the first time, or build strength in their legs so that they can walk and meet their developmental milestones. It could be anywhere from someone like myself having a wheelchair ramp so that I'm much more visible and protected in the very busy streets of New York
Yes.
City. It can be a writing easel to help someone who needs support writing in school, or a chair so that they can actually reach the desk to write in school and contribute. It is actually one of the most incredible places that I've ever worked at, and
It
I
sounds wonderful.
encourage everyone to check us out if you can.
Well, we will put the website up here, not to worry, okay? Yes, because I checked that I do homework on all of my guests. But yes, Tamara and I actually sent a little bit of a few extra emails today back and forth. And so when you all posted that photograph onto social media, I kind of snuck and did a little research myself. So, but it looked great. It looked very, you know what I liked about the adaptive design, okay, is that it looks so creative.
It is.
It looked very, I could almost see the creativity there.
Yeah.
Yes, and that I would love to work in that environment.
Oh, beautiful.
Yes.
Well, come by, visit anytime.
I will definitely be there then. I was doing my homework on you, and you made I shouldn't say make, said a quote I want to read to you.
Okay.
Now, I don't know if you know what I'm going to read or not, but I'm going to read it. My success and happiness has been realizing my own potentials and capacities and connecting with individuals that are like-minded and those that will challenge me to think beyond beyond what I already understand and am comfortable with.
Yeah.
I really like that quote.
For me, I feel like in my life I have had so many people that have encouraged me to recognize my own potentials and capacities, whether I had a fracture or not, you know, whether I was feeling physically strong or not, that I had so much more to contribute. And a lot of the pain and the momentary grief was just temporary, you know, but that my story was much larger than that.
Yes.
And I believe that of everyone.
Right.
And so I think every community or every opportunity that I have, I want to be able to encourage people to believe that of themselves.
Wow. You know, the name of this show is Disabilities Redefined. And with this group interview, I really do believe these three young women, all of which are very smart, very capable, and very, very articulate, as I said in the introduction, are redefining what it means to be disabled. I have such appreciation and for this need they all have, not just to belong and give back to society, but be leaders in society. And as we will see in Elizabeth's interview, that's exactly what she wants to do. So let's go back and hear what Miss Elizabeth Flint has in mind for her future. The ultimate goal is the ultimate goal, or is what, to work with the nursing home population?
My ultimate goal obviously is to be a lawyer, but I would like to be able to volunteer as an ombudsman, because I was also in a nursing home for 1.5 years. So I know what it's like to be in that institution setting and maybe at times lose hope and not be able to be outside and be sociable and do the things you want to do. So I want to be able to give something back and let people know that I know where they're coming from and that I was able to get out and live my life the best I can. So hopefully I'll be able to do that and pass along the help that people gave me.
That's great. Now, but you said you were in a nursing home. Were you living there?
For 1.5 years after my mom passed away, I was briefly in a nursing home in Long Island. And then I got on the NHTD waiver program, which is a Medicaid waiver program that helps individuals integrate back into the community. So that's how I was able to get my own apartment. And now I'm in college, and it's been about 4 years.
Wow.
So I'm able to self-advocate for myself, and I have home attendants that help me. And, you know, I'm able to live my life and do all the, you know, bill paying and everything that everyone has to do. So, yes, I want to be able to help people maybe realize that they can do it too. You know, it just takes time. But you know, if they have the strength, they can get through it as well.
I think that's a very good, thank you for sharing that message.
Yeah.
It was very powerful. But now, quickly, just to step back for a second, before because you're now you're at St. John's, is it?
Yes.
You're at St. John's
Yes.
University.
Yes.
Very good school.
Yes.
But before that, you were at Queensborough Community
Yes.
College, as we said
Yes.
earlier.
Yes.
And you were president of the
Soda Club. It
No,
was the Students' Organization for Disability Awareness. I loved it. I was only the president for the fall semester of 2016 because I graduated, but I loved everyone there, and I really felt inspiration from hearing their stories, and they really took to me, and it really gave me a lot of strength that I could be in a leadership position like that, and to be able to, you know, help in any sort of way. It was an amazing experience because I had never done anything like that before.
Wow. Okay, great.
Yeah.
But now listen, how important do you think being involved on campus is for all students, whether you're disabled or not? This is a universal statement.
Right.
Yes.
I think it's very important. It not only can help you socially and to make friends and find people that have the same interests as you, but also get involved on campus and maybe change what's going on, or if you see
Yes.
something that, you know, could be different. I think that's what the Soda Club did. They gave those students a place to air out grievances and find people that understood where they were coming from, and any issue they had, we were able to talk about it in a safe space.
Wow, thank you, ladies. You know, throughout the interview, one thing I was very, very appreciative of was the level of confidence these young women had. When we touched on the overall presence of individuals who are disabled in the media and the press, as well as the representation Hollywood has of individuals who are disabled, you know, our guests were, not surprisingly, opinionated and articulate as well. So let's go back and see what they have to say about that.
I think it would be wonderful if individuals with disabilities had the opportunity to be in all fashions of entertainment. And I think that us telling our story can only come best coming from us. And there may be people who know some about it by being a relative or a friend of someone with a disability, but really to evoke change, it really does need to come from us. And I think the more that we have the opportunity to be present in the entertainment world, I think we'll be able to break down a lot of barriers and a lot of misconceptions about what disability is or means.
And I think it's also important to show the female aspect of living with a disability, because shows like Speechless or Atypical, they're coming from a male perspective, and I think that women have unique challenges anyway. So it would just be nice to see a young woman going through her life who just happens to be disabled. And I think that the only way to have that is to have someone who's in a wheelchair. I think that that needs to be shown as well.
Okay.
I think it's good that people with disabilities play their own role, because only a person with a disability can actually share their experience and play as well as who they are.
Final question. What do you want people watching the show to take away from you being here and sharing your message? And we'll start with you tonight.
I want people to know that do not only just be inspired by people with disabilities, because often people will say, I'm inspired by you, but they should be inspired by like the things that we're able to do for ourselves compared to a person that doesn't have a disability. We're still trying to go forward and go high, and never let our barriers stop us. Even though we have a different path, we all can be successful in different ways.
I go forward and go high. I think you all are doing that, and that's my wish for all of you. And I think that's a very good impression to leave with people. Okay.
I would just want people to know that we have the same goals and dreams that everyone else does. We just do it in a different way. And so I don't really think of myself as inspirational. I'm just trying to live my life the best way I can. But if what I've gone through can help somebody, then that's great.
Yeah, I think I agree with that as well. Yes, absolutely. You're just trying to be who you
Yeah.
are, really. Yes. So, which I hope in a few years will be a lawyer.
Thank
because
you.
we all need lawyers,
Yes,
right?
yes.
I hope that you will also.
I'll help you pro bono. Don't
Yeah.
worry.
Yes, and I don't want to get into what's going to happen with the ADA with our current administration. Let's don't need.
That'll be
We'll
another
need a few
show.
more hours.
Yes,
for that,
yes,
perhaps.
yes.
Okay, Miss Morgan, send us on out there.
Yeah. I think I would, if I can just leave one message with the audience about disability and our perceptions of each other, is really just to first and foremost know that each and every one of us, we're human beings first. Regardless of any physicality, any cognition, we're all part of the same human family, and we deserve the same love, respect, and care as we would want for ourselves. So to treat people, see them first as a human being, and then, everything else can, come about after that. But first, human family.
Yes. Thank you, ladies. What can I say? This has been a great show. Tamara, Elizabeth, Trina, you all have an open door invitation. Would love to have you back on the show anytime. So, what can I say but thank you? And hey, keep working hard.